All right, welcome everyone to our Resource YYC Lunch and Learn. Just in case you're not aware, Resource YYC is a co-working space for professionals here in Calgary, and we provide private office spaces, dedicated desks, and virtual office options. So if you're ever in need of a space to use, we are a great place to check out. We also have boardrooms and training rooms available. All right, and today we have Brad, who's going to be sharing some great insights on how to sell your business. So over to you, Brad.
Super. Thanks, and thanks for the opportunity. So how I'm going to position today is in regard to Resource YYC. I think what we see a lot of the people at Resource YYC are entrepreneurs, people considering startups, things like that. So I'm going to position this idea of selling your business. How do you sell your business? I'm going to position it a little differently today in the sense that I found as a serial entrepreneur myself, one of the first questions I get asked from investors and key partners and stuff, even when I haven't even started my business yet, what's your exit plan? Because, you know, money generally, people who put money into your business generally want to know how they're going to be able to cash out. And I think ultimately any entrepreneur should be thinking about, you know, what is my exit plan? What is my cash out? Because I find as an entrepreneur, quite often what we're best at is turning ideas into reality, into creating something that wasn't there before and growing it to a certain stage. But I find people who are great at creating aren't necessarily great at maintaining. And so oftentimes, you know, business can sometimes start to feel like it's mundane and you're caretaking. And I find quite often that's a really great time for you to start thinking and planning and acting around selling your business, because, you know, there's other people who are great caretakers and can, you know, take your business. You've grown it to 25 people. Well, somebody else may be better positioned to grow it to 100 people. And as a matter of fact, I know in a lot of instances, as I've seen, entrepreneurs I know have kind of held off from exiting their businesses and, you know, thinking they're going to make more money. And I know one friend of mine, he had an offer 3 years after they'd started the business. They had an offer on it and they decided, no, they want to keep growing it. And then 10 years after that, they finally sold their business. And after all the rounds of dilution, they actually made less money, the founders, you know, selling it almost 15 years later than if they would have taken the first offer. So, you know, I think it's really critical as you're planning or as you're building your business, in the back of your mind should always be, how do I exit this? If somebody came to me with an offer tomorrow, would I be ready? Because 80% of business exits are either emergency health transitions or unexpected, unplanned offers that come at you. So when you recognize that, then it's really even more critical, if you want to get the most value, to be prepared no matter what, always being prepared. Because the actual numbers are pretty scary. Most of us are so busy kind of growing businesses, getting them started, keeping them alive, et cetera, that we're not really thinking of the end game. But if we actually knew the numbers, I think this would be much more urgent and much more timely. Because the fact is, only 1 in 10 small, medium businesses sell as planned. 80% of businesses put up for sale never sell. So if you go to a business broker tomorrow and you've got a business that you want to get out of because, you know, COVID's beating you up and now the economy seems to be coming back and it'd probably be a good time to sell because the market's getting hotter and so on. Well, the fact is that 80% of businesses that are pitched to brokers, they turn down and say, no, I can't, it's too hard to sell your business. So, you know, if you think about all the work you put into starting and growing a business, it's The reality is what happens if you can't sell it? And what do you have to do to make sure that you're one of the 10 that can successfully sell it? So what I want you to think about is you really need to plan for 3 different phases in your business journey. So in a sense, as you're growing and running your business, you should always be thinking of, how do I maximize value? How do I grow my business? How do I keep it on that, kind of upward track to kind of fulfilling its potential? So that's one phase. But you need to think about the fact that that maximizing value, I see a lot of businesses and they're just kind of busy operating their businesses. But if somebody came to them with an unexpected offer, they would be not ready for a sale. And they, in fact, would not get a premium price for their sale because of the fact that they're not ready. So there's a lot of people out there looking to buy businesses, and they don't mind if you're not ready, because they're going to knock the price down to a point where you're really unhappy. But what other options do you have? So maximizing value and making sure you put the time and effort so that your business is ready and attractive. And then transacting value. The typical business sale takes anywhere from 8 to 12 months. That is the average. So if you think you're going to run around, things are good today, okay, let's get our business up and see if we can sell it in the next 2 months. Well, that's not going to happen. Like I said, allow and plan on the transaction taking on average a year. And then the other thing too is when you sell your business, the third phase you need to consider is the people buying your business want to make sure they get as much value out of you as they possibly can, which means you typically don't get to run away from your business. Somebody hands you a check and then you run away and go to a nice Caribbean island. The reality is there's usually golden handcuffs. There's performance requirements, there's advisory requirements. Whoever buys the business wants to make sure you've done everything possible and are there still to make sure they get as much value as they can out of their acquisition. So quite often the average is around 2 years, you'll still be in some way connected to your business. So plan on these phases and you're probably going to be better situated to be successful. So a great exit doesn't just happen. It's not an accident. The 9 out of 10 that don't sell well happen because people don't really take that as seriously and plan in advance the way they truly need to. You've got to have really clear strategic goals. What is it you want? You've got to plan. And you've got to plan both strategically and tactically and execute. And by getting your business performing really well, it's going to give you more options and it's going to give you the best price if you prepare properly. So really, in a sense, if you haven't prepared, then today's value is really what a buyer is going to tell you and dictate to you. If you prepared properly, then you have the ability to create a premium. And what you really want to do is transition it to a strategic acquisition, a strategic buyer who is going to pay you a premium. So, when we look at this roadmap, it really is kind of an agile, adaptive process to get yourself to the point where you're exit ready and exit attractive. So what I want you to also think about is the fact that you as a business owner, if you're a founder, you're a shareholder, whatever, there really are 2 separate plans that you have to take into account. So one plan is the owner's plan. And it's really unique to the owner because you as an owner, your benefit, the payout for all the work and blood, sweat, and tears you put into your business, that payout is really specific to you. It's unique to you versus the rest of the employees in your business that are working there. Your exit is really about kind of your life and your career with your business, but the rest of the people in your organization, that's not what they're thinking about. That's not what how they create value and what's driving them. So you really need to kind of separate your mind and which hat you're wearing when you're thinking about planning and executing on growing value in your business. So first, let's talk about the owner's plan. What's involved in the owner's plan? What are the things you need to include and consider? So it's kind of a checklist in a sense. The owner's exit plan isn't just a plan. There's a number of pieces that go into it that you really need to kind of put in place for yourself. So first is your personal plan. This is really just the me plan and what do I want out of it. Then there's your personal financial plan. We'll go more into that. The business's financial plan, you need to do a gap analysis between where you're at and where you want to be. You need to consider all of your options and kind of prioritize what's most attractive to least attractive for you. You need to come up with the maximizing value plan. So how do I bridge that gap between what my business is worth right now and what it could be worth? And then get support. You do not want to do this alone. You want to go out and get support. And it's not a person. You really need to build a support team to help you to be successful in your exit. And then you need to develop action plans, both for yourself and for the business, to be able to grow and maximize this value. Small business advisor, score jumpstart here in the US. So it'll help me guide one of my clients get through a particular current situation. Okay. Yep. So I'll be sharing this presentation and you can kind of follow up with me on your own if you need more help or want to have a further discussion. Okay. So let's keep going. So what's in the personal plan? So really the goal of the personal plan is, what are your no regrets requirements? What is it you want from your business personally that's going to make you feel like it was really worth the effort and you've really kind of made a difference, not just for yourself, but also for all of the people in your life that you and your business touch and impact. And you know, when we talk about a legacy assessment, in a sense, it's what do you want to leave all of those people as a result of your business? You know, what is it you want for your family as a result of your business? Because quite often our families pay the price of our crazy hours we put in and all of the effort and focus that a business takes. So, you know, for most people, it's I want to create a legacies for my family in the sense of having a, you know, kind of a secure economic future to be able to support my kids as they want to go into their careers or start their own businesses. You know, what are the things I want for them, for my employees, the people who have made, you know, this a success and grown the business and done this. You know, what is it I want for them after I'm gone? How do I want them to experience and you know, and it implies some of the options too in terms of exit. For my customers, how do I want to leave them when I go? Suppliers, partners, the community, you know, especially when you get out of the big cities, you get into smaller communities, and every business in the community has a huge economic impact on the health of that community. So, you know, what do you want that to be? And one of the biggest thing, I read one study, 75% of business owners who have sold their businesses have post-sale regret a year later. And quite often, the biggest driver of this is that a lot of times they haven't planned for their life after work goals. Well, at least not their life after business. And so getting a real clear understanding of what is it you want to do? What's your purpose? How do you make a difference in the world after you've stepped away from this business? Is it start another? Is it be a mentor? Is it what? But you've got to come up with an understanding of what is it you want your life to look like after. Because if you don't, then you may not be happy, even if you can sell your business and exit. In terms of the personal financial plan, I think this is fairly straightforward. Lifestyle, income, and I would advise anybody, because typically you can get this help through personal financial planners, advisors, and quite often they make their money on helping you manage your wealth, but getting their tools, because they've got tools and support, and then help you figure out, because I know a lot of business owners kind of have an inkling, well, I think it's worth this much and that should be good. But they haven't necessarily thought about all of those legacy aspects. They really haven't thought about it's after-tax dollars that you're going to live on, not sale price dollars. So there's a lot of factors. What are your lifestyle, income, your current plan and forecast in terms of financially? What are your annuity income requirements? That kind of reality check, and what happens if interest rates or markets go up, go down? What's a realistic return on your investments to be able to plan for your income, and how much of a gap is there? So understanding these things clearly is critical. Next step, business financial plan. Well, really the business financial plan is first off, what's my business worth today? So getting a baseline or an understanding of the value in your business today, and what stage. So this business advisor score and jumpstart that one of the people in chat commented about, this is the kind of business planning. There's a number of services, tools, platforms that you can use to help on this. And there's a lot of business plan. There's a certification called CEPA, which is the Exit Planning Association, Certified Exit Planning. So this is quite often where these people would step in. What's your business worth today? How? Give me a quantitative score of how ready is it to sell? How attractive is it right now? So what kind of a premium am I going to get? And then comparative benchmarking in my sector, in my industry. What are the multiples? What can I expect in terms of how is it financially valued? And then looking at different scenarios. If it's best in class versus can I find a strategic position to create more value for my business? So there's ways to look at how do I create value for my business. And then what the gap analysis is really looking at what's my business worth today? What could it potentially be worth under some different scenarios? And what do I need to do to bridge that gap? So let's talk about options. When we talk about options, it's fairly simple. There's basically, you can sell it externally or sell it internally, or merge with another company and then sell, get them to pay you out. So, and that merge with another company really is a variation or a delayed external sale exit, or an orderly liquidation. We'll just sell the assets and lay everyone off and go into the sunset. So those really are your only options in terms of selling externally. Private equity sale, public sale, IPOs, sale of assets. There's a few different ways to sell externally. Internally, it could be a family transition, management buyout, employee stock ownerships. There's different ways to sell internally in terms of merging with another company. Again, that tends to create more of a delayed exit, because when you merge, quite often then you're required to kind of hang on for longer before you can get cashed out. So what I want to do now is just have a quick discussion with everyone on the call. So what I want you to think about for yourself, whether you're a startup, thinking about a startup, you've got an existing business, or even thinking hypothetically, if you are planning your own startup or your own business, where does exit readiness stand in your thinking right now? Score 1 to 10. And what do you think the biggest challenges are around the whole aspect of exiting? So I want you to kind of ask yourself those two questions. I'm going to park it so that we can kind of focus on more of a discussion. And then what I'd like to do is kind of go around the circle and see what people think. So, Christian, do you want to start?
Hey, sure. Yeah. Well, currently I'm not a business owner, so really just here to try to learn. Yeah, I really enjoy your presentation. I think, yeah, just follows it's a very different perspective compared to all the other startup informations where most people just think about how you can, start from idea and get it working. But like you said, like a lot of people don't think about what then what, right? So there's a full life cycle of the business, but then people only think about the start. But then, yeah, to me, like there's always a price for your business, and if someone gave you a really attractive valuation, then for sure you probably will be willing to sell it. So yeah, I definitely find this very interesting. But I guess in terms of specific situations, like I haven't really ran into anything yet. So
Okay.
yeah, but I do have a question. So, I understand, business valuation, it's different. There's one aspect of it where a financial advisor will tell you, okay, this is how much your business is going to worth. And then there's also the owner's take on, okay, I think my company worth this much. As a advisor or someone who, a consultant who overseeing these kind of valuations, like what do you think? Do you see the gaps between those two and what's driving them, and what closed that gap? Like some owners gonna think, okay, my company is a $1 trillion company, but then a financial advisor tells them it's much less. So how? I'm just curious, like, how do you convince the owner, okay, actually, this is going to be the money you're going to sell, or how the owner, yeah, just very curious in practice how that works.
Yeah, understand. Really, ultimately, a business is worth what a buyer's willing to pay. And you're not, everyone's speculating in a sense until the deal happens. But that being said, there really is a couple of key crucial factors that hugely impact the value of business. So for any buyer, risk is a deal killer. And the more risk there is, the less they're willing to pay for a business. So we see it all the time. Of the 20% of businesses that do sell, 50% of those get on average half of what they expected to get. So it really kind of validates the point you just made. They think it's worth something. We as advisors have to talk to them and basically be a reality check. They may not like what they hear, but as long as we can explain to them why it's not worth what they think it is. And the most common thing is the vulnerability of the business to the business owner. I've got a real simple check with business owners. Can you take a 6-week holiday from your business and not affect the performance of the business? And if the answer is no, I can't take a 6-week holiday, then typically I say you do not have a sellable business. Because if the business is completely dependent on you, if you're the person that makes all the decisions, you're the person that brings in the business, et cetera, then you're not very attractive to a buyer. Because, can I replace you? Do I want to take over doing what you're doing? If you haven't empowered other people to do that, then you really haven't built a sellable business. So I think that's kind of how we have to approach giving people a reality check on that. Hopefully that kind of gives you some ideas, Christian. The mechanics of it, discounted cash flow analysis, net present value, some of these other types of things. The mechanics are easy, and there's tools and platforms to help you do those calculations based on historic financials. But the next part of the presentation I'm going to do, which is around how you create value. I think that's where you'll find the most value from the conversation today, if you're thinking about doing your own startup, that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's keep going. Juan writes, Score and Jumpstart Mentor working on getting LLC for myself as I'm a notary public. Excellent. Yeah, great tools, great programs. I know I use a platform called Capitalize. My co-founder uses a platform called Value Builder. So there's a number of tools and platforms you can use in kind of doing this type of work that are really valuable. That being said, I still see tons of value in kind of peer networks and helping and sharing kind of collective learnings, and both as entrepreneurs, as business owners, and as advisors. Okay. Susan, did you want to type in anything? Do you have any questions or any comments you'd like to share? Amand, same for you. If there's anything that if you'd like to turn on your mic, or if you want to type anything in the chat, anything else that you'd like to comment on, or any questions?
Hi, Brad. No questions here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Just went through a potential sale. Couldn't agree on the payout buyout. Yeah. One of the big challenges we're having right now today is the fact that BDC says in Canada, 40% of small, medium businesses are going to transition ownership in the next 5 years. So one of the challenges we're having now is there's a lot of predatory shopping going on right now, because there is such a glut of businesses coming onto the market, especially during COVID and the downturns in Western Canadian, the energy economy. It's been a horrible time to sell. So a lot of people have put off, looking for a sale. And now that we're kind of in the recovery mode, a lot of people are the M&A markets are at the highest levels ever recorded. So we're seeing M&A, mergers and acquisitions, kind of going crazy, but a lot of predatory pricing. There's an oversupply of businesses for sale in some respects, especially as more people start to get geared up for an exit. All these boomers who own their businesses have had a rough go, and a lot of them are just worn out and tired and want to exit, but they all want to exit at the same time. It's just like the housing market. Everyone wants to move to Victoria now and retire. Well, that drives the prices up. Well, when we've got too many businesses that want to exit, then it drives the price down because you've got that oversupply. So, Susan, I'd be really interested to hear, and maybe on another discussion, but it's not necessarily easy to negotiate win-win terms on a deal. But the more you've done what I'm going to present in this next phase, the more value you've created in your business, the more you've made it, in a sense, look like a strategic opportunity, the more you're in a power position in terms of your negotiation for the buyout. Okay. Anyone else before I move on to the rest? Okay, I'm going to put us back on share. And I'll keep us moving forward. So the second part of this really is, once you've got an owner's plan and you start to look at the things you need to move to bridge that gap for yourself personally, now you've got to go back to your organization, to your team, and you've got to come up with a business value growth plan. And this is really about growing the business. In the back of your mind, in your hat as an owner, you want it to be in a position where you're going to get value when and should you want to exit. For the business itself, the business is an ongoing entity, whether you're there or not, ideally. So the business exit plan is really not about setting the business up for you, because that's not going to motivate anything. If anything, most business owners I know are really leery of even having these exit conversations because they're afraid it's going to sidetrack their business. They're afraid that it's going to get everyone feeling insecure and wondering what's going to happen and what their future is. And it's going to kill value in their business to even have this conversation. So that's why most business owners are much more comfortable breaking it completely apart. And that's why quite often as a business owner, founder, whatever, it's hard to find someone to have this conversation with because you don't want to distract and confuse the people running and working in your business. So when you have the conversation about growing value in your business, what you want to get them excited about is empowering them to take the business to the next level. Because if you really want a business to fly, like the last 13 years, I've been doing business growth transformation consulting. And the key to growing a business and taking it to the next level is really empowering the team to take over from the founders, to take over from the CEO and prove their ability. It's the effectiveness, it's a team that can carry a business to the next level, no one individual. And so getting the organization, getting everyone involved and realizing they have a role and empowering them to take the company to the next level is really how you want to position this value growth aspect. Something that's kind of unique in how we look at this, though, is if you want to get a premium for your business, then you really kind of need to know what's kind of the hot flavor of the month when it comes to money markets in terms of investment, and in terms of even in the M&A market these days, where the money is really getting hot, is in the aspect of ESG. So if you haven't heard of the term ESG, environmental social governance, it is kind of a new sustainability criteria that is becoming the number one criteria, non-financial. So, the numbers, having a profitable, successful business is still job one. But after that, the biggest factor that's starting to weight in terms of business attractiveness and value is having some sort of ESG value proposition or strategy. So, I think I haven't heard this from a lot of other business advisors, but to me, this is something that a business owner, or if you're growing your business, you've got to start up being aware that if you want to attract investors' money or buyers' money, this is a huge trend. So understand where the money puck is going. And one of the reasons we've seen negative investment and divestment in the energy sector is they haven't had an ESG story to tell. $40 trillion in global private equity funding defines itself now as ESG. So you need to know about this. And you also, ESG is really just a quantitative measure created by the investment community to be able to benchmark and understand how consciously or sustainably a business is performing. So it is not the dog, it is the tail of the dog. It is kind of the measurement system that money is using for kind of benchmarking companies. And the securities commissions, it's much more common, much more urgent with bigger companies. But if you want to sell your company to a big company, being able to speak this language, because it's what they're looking for, can really add to the value in your business. This ESG thing, though, is also relevant to clients. If you want to grow your business, attract more clients, attract the best clients, then again, they're starting to look for this. My prediction is in the next 18 months, in Alberta specifically, if you have or want to sell to any major company in Alberta, particularly the energy sector, then you have to have an ESG strategy, an ESG report, or you will no longer qualify for their vendors lists. So this is changing dramatically. So again, if you want to get a premium, then your company had better be able to be attractive and be able to sell to big businesses. People want it. The next generation of talent is much more sustainably minded. This aligns with their values, and they will actually change jobs. They will take jobs that pay less money, but align with their values. So if you want to attract, retain, engage the best talent, then again, having the sustainability ESG story to tell and kind of philosophy in your business is going to get you the best talent. And then lastly, society wants this. If you want a social license to grow, and again, the energy sector has paid the price for being kind of oblivious to this, then you really need to recognize this is a way that you can get the community behind your business and wanting to support you as well. So when we talk about a value growth framework, having this ESG kind of conscious philosophy just in the back of your mind is kind of, how do I incorporate this into my values and my vision for what I want for my company? And then kind of incorporate that into the normal strategic planning and the way you'd normally grow and transform your business to maximize value. So it's just kind of layering that within how you normally run your business. It's not asking you to kind of radically transform something, but just kind of have this as a philosophy as you grow and evolve. So how do we grow value within the business? How do we help people understand strategically the things they can do in order to grow the value in their business? And so I find that complicated things are hard for companies to execute on. So I find it really simple to, if I kind of take the business down to its very most basic essentials, it becomes much easier to understand what I can do, where my business is strong and successful, where my business is weak and needs development. And so the simplest way I can position a business is there's only 3 functions that make a business work. You got to go out and get business. If you can't go out and sell, then you don't need anything else. Once you do bring customers in, then you got to be able to deliver, and you got to be able to deliver with excellence. The key to really creating business value is your ability to sustain and retain customers. And that really is dependent on delivering so they love what you do. They see you creating real value. And then for the business to function effectively and to be profitable, you've got to have systems, processes, people, et cetera, in the business that really support its functioning in a smooth and efficient way. So those are kind of the 3 key value sectors. So let's make that a little more tangible. When we talk about value maximizers, ESG itself and having that within your business really kind of add to your exit attractiveness for the reasons I'd already outlined. In terms of your ability to get business, which is to go out and bring in customers, the ones that create the biggest increase in your value, the ones that make you look like a real strategic acquisition, which is going to add multiples to the value of your business, are things like increasing market share. So actually growing my business so I'm got a competitive advantage and can grab more of the market. Opportunities for recurring revenue. So if I can come up with master service agreements, long-term contracts, SaaS, in software, recurring revenue models where people are paying on an ongoing basis continually to have my services, those types of things. New products, new markets, new IP, new technologies. These are all kind of specific initiatives around my going out and getting business that can really add significant value and attractiveness to a business, because people buy businesses based on the growth potential they see in the business that they can tap into. That's what makes a business really desirable. Increasing profitability. So delivering operational excellence, delivering a great customer experience that really truly drives customer loyalty, reducing costs, increasing quality, speed, efficiency, that all better serve the customer. Those increase both profitability, which increases value in your business, and they also increase customer loyalty, which increases value in your business. And then the last, the support functions things like HR, things like systems and processes and IT and these other functions, kind of back office functions in your business, the better that you get these set up. Organizational design, who's in my team, empowering people, putting in place procedures and best practices so that the business is not dependent on a specific individual, because there's systems and processes where other people could step in. An organizational structure that has redundancy and second in commands, and people are building, kind of future leaders, those kind of things. Having those in place really reduces the risk. Having IT and systems in place so that a lot of things are automated and, again, not depend on people, really de-risks it, and again creates a premium value within your business. So stakeholder value around this kind of ESG conscious stuff. In your interactions, how do you make this manifest? Well, in your interactions with all your stakeholders, if you're always striving for a win-win-win scenario, if you're always working with with your suppliers, with your customers, with your employees, so that they understand and see you as working towards solutions and working towards outcomes that benefit everyone, then that's what makes you kind of the people that everyone wants to do business with. And that's, again, going to create much more value for your business. So how you interact with the public, which is both government and kind of the community you live in, with your suppliers, what's your environmental footprint, what are your relations with First Nations, all of those things are really key to creating a premium. The better you are at that win-win, the more attractive you're going to be. So again, I talked about, typically an exit planning advisor is one person, but I don't see an exit planner as being kind of the answer to all things. It's just one role within a team. I see this as kind of being a team coach. I'm not playing all these roles. I am just making sure all of these functions are in place. You need an accountant, you need a lawyer, you need a financial planner, a personal financial planner, you need a tax specialist. At the right time, having an M&A broker or a sales agent that specializes ideally in your sector, in your industry, and in that function. And then creating a peer network, having other people who are in kind of the same boat as you are, and being able to advise and sound off each other, a mastermind group, those types of things create great value and can really help you down this road. And one of the other things too is that if you want to kind of look at what's my business case for going through all this effort in preparation, well, this kind of shows your business case is if you don't do this, then really you're just taking what the business is worth today. And as Susan said, if there's kind of a lot of supply in this area, you're probably going to get ground down even on your today value that you think it is. But if you go through this effort and you do things to get yourself much more ready, much more attractive, it can really add significant value to the sale price that you can expect from your business. It is worth the effort. It pays off in multiples to put in this time and effort. Timing, typically, the more time you prepare in advance, as we say with startups, right from the get-go, build it to sell it. Because if you're running a great business where people are empowered, the business is able to function without you, because you as the founder and kind of visionary for the company, you should really be out looking for the future of the company and what are the next opportunities and growing up there. The company itself should be able to kind of function without you, and because you created such a great team that they value you and you have a key role but they're not completely dependent on you. That creates a great team, but that takes time to build if you haven't done it already. So typically allow yourself at least 2 years, as I say, to prepare, a year for a transaction, and typically expect to be tied in for up to another 2 years after. So that's kind of the key points, and I wanted to kind of share and put on the table for today. So again, what I'd like to do is kind of go back to the discussion. This time, my questions kind of to everyone are, for yourself, what would what would be a preferred exit to you? And kind of how does this impact you today? And for you, what are the 3 things you think are really critical to a successful exit? So I'd like to go to everyone and kind of hear from the people today in terms of your thoughts. So Kristen, do you want to start again?
Hey, sure. Preferred exit. I guess in my if it's in a great scenario, the perfect exit will be when I'm ready to move on from the business, and then doing all the things that I know the business at the point where I can take it to the maximum value that I personally, based on my ability and experience, can take. And then, yeah, exit based on, the market value. Basically, it's like a validation of how much value I created based on my inputs from for all the effort I put into the business. And I think I think it's I think it's very beneficial to go through all the process you mentioned before, where it's not just the owner is selling the business, it's also leaving the company to the partners, employees, and everyone else, all the other stakeholders. That definitely give me a different perspective than just thinking about cashing out from a business. So that's great.
Good. So from your perspective, again, recognize you're kind of speaking hypothetically. What are 3 things you think really are key for you to be able to set yourself up for success?
I think really understanding how your business is driving the value, like just know why my business worth as much, and understanding the relationship between all the stakeholders and the business. I guess is part of the value, where how you generate value for other parties, and also understand your personal values and goals when you're trying to sell a business. I think that's also very important to consider. And you have to say the third one. I think another really good point from your presentation is, know what you want to do next. Like, it's not just sell and done. You have to commit to advise a business for a period of time, and also what you want to do after you sell the business.
Because if you sound like you're definitely younger than I am, but I find myself included, I'm a serial entrepreneur. So selling my business is not, I'm going to retire into the sunset. For me, selling my business is, I want my business to fund my next business.
Right.
So recognizing what you really want out of this, I think is like you said, absolutely crucial. So great point. Thank you. Susan, you wrote in the comment, I'd like to find a buyer who is interested in taking my awesome team without me having to stick around beyond 1 or 2 years. Max, my prospective buyer wanted me for 5 years. I guess for me, it really kind of begs 2 questions, because 5 years seems unreasonable. And to me, a maximum value exit really depends. If you can get multiple people interested, that's the ideal to me. I think for you to get it down to a lower time period, I'm trying to understand if you could kind of share why so long, because the only thing to me that makes sense is if he thinks the business is, or she thinks the business is so dependent on you, like if you're so crucial to the business, that's the only reason I think for needing you around that long, you know, vis-a-vis the brand or whatever. But, you know, part of my strategy to negotiate and win down would be you working in the, you know, 2 years to make yourself completely redundant, you know, coming up with a strategy and a plan for you to be able to empower, restructure, bolster and grow the team so that you don't need to be there. Because with the companies I've worked with the last 13 years, pretty much full time, dozens and dozens of companies, I know we've succeeded in the transition when the CEO comes to me and says, you know what, I don't know what to do anymore because everyone's got everything taken care of. That's when I know we've really, truly succeeded. And then I go, great, now you can do what you do best. Go out and look for things that really move the business. Go out and look for partnerships. Go out and look to businesses to buy. Go out and look for new markets or new technologies or new products, because those are things that are going to leap the company forward. That's what you're best at. Because if everyone's got everything taken care of, you're laughing. Now you got something truly exciting and valuable. So Susan, for you, he would have needed to hire a branch manager, national staffing firm. Okay, so that puts you in a position where he's really seeing you to kind of want to hang around and play a role so that he doesn't have to pay someone else. And that kind of maximizes the profitability and the margins for that branch for him. That seems pretty one-sided to me, and not kind of accepting or recognizing your personal goals in terms of this business transition. So that's, you know, that's where you really got to ask yourself, is this the right buyer? It's the buyer that's at the table. So it's the one I recognize you got to negotiate with right now. But I'd say, you know, here, let's figure out this payout. I don't want to be here for 3 years, and you're not going to get better performance. If anything, I need to mentor the person who can take over and manage this office. If I succeed at doing that, you're going to pay them less. Your profitability is going to be higher for you. You're going to have better margins because you're not going to be paying, you know, the replacement manager necessarily the same as you're going to be paying me, an exiting owner manager. So I guess that's probably how I'd try and negotiate with that, is they're going to actually make better margins if they allow you to exit yourself and kind of develop somebody younger and more junior who may not cost quite the same premium. So that's the only thing that kind of comes to mind off the top of my head. Juan, do you have any suggestions or thoughts? Recognizing that you can only type them.
Well, Susan's agreeing with you 100%. So,
so in terms of today, you know, in terms of next steps, Susan, I'm assuming you've got your owner's plan in terms of your readiness and what expected. You're already into negotiations. So I think, you know, that how your kind of tactical plan on that transitioning yourself out, how that would look, what the business case is for that, how you can position that as being advantageous for them and you, is, you know, that's kind of 2 cents worth of what I can suggest off the top of my head. So just kind of a finish off of who Mexit is. We're really a maximum value exit planning and execution. And, you know, there's a big group of people out there who really specialize in exit planning. Where our focus is really, I think we put most of our effort in, is around the execution piece. And in the execution piece, even to the fact that our process and systems will actually license out to other consultants, other exit planners, because I think there's so much more demand than there is supply, that we're happy to help other exit planners be able to better execute on the plan, which is really, like I said, the resources and stuff we do is focused more on the execution. So that's kind of who we are. And our vision is to maximize consciously, ESG consciously, maximize the value of every business exit. So that's kind of what we're working towards. My co-founder is a fellow named Robert Welk. I'm Brad Gollin, and I want to thank everyone for your participation today and listening in on what I had to say. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Brad. That was a great presentation. I think everyone got some really great information from it. And I hope that anybody who watches our video gets a chance to reach out to you if they need you.
I just realized, was I not sharing my screen?
Just now? No.
Okay. There is a slide deck with pictures for all the words that I just shared. So,
Well, why don't you share it now?
Okay. Here, let me. Okay, so from the last conversation, the pictures that I missed were this business value growth plan, taking it to the next level, recognizing, going to where the puck is going while it's rocketing towards this ESG stuff. So kind of the
you showed
case
this
for,
one. You just didn't show, I think, the last slide.
Oh, just the last. So we showed the others?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I wasn't sure when I hit the stop share button. I was afraid I might have hit it too early.
No
Good.
problem. All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.